Great, thanks everybody. So specifically for Evan and Jack, this question kind of hits close to home. Why would somebody leave traditional financial services, in your opinion, for the blockchain industry?
Say it again.
Why would somebody leave traditional financial services for anything to do with blockchain?
Yeah, I think this is a really important question. And I think that this is an area that my feeling is a lot of people in the space get this question wrong. Because they maybe, I think that the space overall has a little bit of an ideological bent towards like libertarianism, anarchism. I definitely skew that direction, but I see this maybe a little bit more pragmatically. The traditional financial sector has a lot of built-in protections that if you view blockchain as sort of like an anarchist, codist law, you can't go back and change things space, which is fine, then it's not logical for a lot of the sort of financial applications that are being proposed for it. So I think that part of the miscommunication is the idea that things can't be influenced by regulatory bodies. I think that what we will see is that, for better or worse, governments are going to get their hands on public blockchains, and they're going to issue orders to miners that you have to move money from here to there. And the miners are going to have no choice what to do, or go to jail. And so I think that we'll see what's offered by blockchain relative to the current technologies that are available. It might not be in the vein that people expect. I think that people focus a lot on like large payments, big trades. A lot of the people in blockchain are very trading oriented. And so a lot of the innovation and sort of speculation in the field comes from people who have that trading lens. They're doing things that lens. So I think one of the major things that, just as an example, that blockchain can bring that's currently not served by our payments infrastructure is micropayments. It's really not so hard to spend $20. It's not even that hard to send $1 million somewhere. It might cost you $25, but that's probably worth it for the protections you're getting. It's really hard to sell someone 5 cents. And I think that blockchain is going to get a foothold more so from the 5 cents realm of things than from the $1 million side.
All right, so to answer your question about why I decided to leave traditional finance, it's a question my wife asks me sometimes too. I'm just kidding. It's mostly, so it's not altruistic actually. At the end of the day, we're all selfish, and I think we all weigh decisions in terms of risk and reward. And I think from my perspective as someone that's also been influenced by the libertarian school of thought, but also been classically trained in finance, accounting, and having started my career in a couple of different large firms on Wall Street, I felt that I was in a pretty unique position when I discovered Bitcoin, but then also subsequently other cryptocurrencies and blockchain, that this was an opportunity that I think only comes once every few decades, or maybe once in a lifetime, to get in on the ground floor of something that will shake up the legacy secular system that I used to be a part of. So, I started my career off at Barclays in corporate finance, which is investment banking, helping advise companies, and then moving on over to the buy side, doing long-short equities investing. I think having been part of those large companies, I realized, as obviously they are doing the best they can to deliver value to their stakeholders and shareholders, but there's so much friction in the legacy system, a lot of ways of doing things that aren't necessarily as scalable or as free-flowing as the way that we're used to having information move in the digital age. This is a theme that I mentioned earlier. And I think maybe a little more selfishly, realizing the power of blockchain and crypto within the context of solving a lot of these problems, or even the biggest problem of peer-to-peer uncensorable money that I mentioned earlier. I still feel that we're very early stage in this whole movement, maybe bottom of the first inning, to use a baseball analogy. So I just wanted to get in on the ground floor, as they say, and maybe just to close, I think I do try to live my life with the regret minimization framework that Bezos talks about. And knowing that worst case, crypto goes nowhere and Bitcoin stagnates, and I could always go back to the old world, but somehow I feel like that's not what's going to happen or how this will play out. So I'm excited to see what this leads.
Great.